You can't improve a person's quality of life by just giving them a good place to live. You have to really impact the neighborhood that housing is located in, you have to impact the city, and you have to eventually impact the region. MSHDA is an independent state housing finance agency. We receive no state funds. We finance affordable housing for people with low and moderate incomes. We help to create quality of life and community revitalization.
Wow. What a great video and a great way to say welcome. Welcome to everyone to the first ever Michigan State Housing Development Authority, AKA MSHDA, faith-based virtual housing and resource fair. I know that was a mouthful, but I think it represents the fact that we have a lot to share with you tonight. My name is Van Adams, and I'll be your moderator for this spectacular event on today. You know, across many of our communities, they are anchored by churches and places of worship. And we have assembled a few of our faith leaders for this special edition of our housing and resource fairs because, quite frankly, it takes an incredible amount of faith to make it through a pandemic. But whether a pandemic or a problem, the great people of the state of Michigan will find the faith and resilience to make it through. So our goal tonight is simple. We want to give you information that you can use to meet your housing needs. You're going to hear important information from some of MSHDA's premier leaders in housing, such as Mary Townley, our Director of Home Ownership, Tanya Young, the Team Manager for Neighborhood Enhancement, and Kelly Rose, the Chief Housing Solutions Officer for the Rental Assistance and Housing Solutions Division. Plus, we have assembled some of the premier housing and community building agencies in Michigan, armed with information you and your organization will want to take advantage of. We even have the director of the Office of Faith-Based and Urban Affairs with us. How about that? Not to mention a few of our noted faith leaders that champion people and affordable housing. Finally, since we have so many people, we'll try to address some of your frequently asked questions during the main event. So we want you to take the opportunity, type your question in the chat, and we'll do our best to answer some of those questions. Most of our presenters will have contact information at the conclusion of their presentation. So take a minute, jot it down. We'll also try to remind you of that contact information as we go along. If that wasn't enough, we even have an extra 30 minutes that we're calling the bonus segment after the event is over, and we're going to personally take the time to answer some of your questions. We've covered it all tonight, and we are glad that you could join us. I told you our goal is to inform you so we can meet your housing needs. Well, let's open up our program with an official open and have a word of prayer. We are pleased to have with us tonight Bishop DeVay Myatt Sr. He's the senior pastor at Christ Temple Church and state bishop for the Full Gospel Baptist Church Fellowship International. Welcome, Bishop Myatt.
Bless you, Van Adams. Of course, you said it absolutely correct. We are a resilient people, and yes, it takes faith to make it through this journey that we call life. And so I'm certainly excited about the partnership that Mr. has allowed. And of course, I'm just thanking God for everybody that made this day possible for so many people who certainly are in need. So we thank God for you, of course, and certainly we thank God for Bernie Johnson, affectionately known in our household as Bernie. And we thank God for Edwin Harlan, and of course, the whole team of Mr. Outreach. Thank you so much for what you do for so many. Of course, oftentimes people do not see the works behind the scene, but you're so valuable. And I believe that tonight will prove your worth for so many in the time that we're in. Let's have a word of prayer now. So, Father, we bless you and we thank you for this opportunity to come together and bring resources to a table. We thank you for those who that you've placed in the midst of it all. And so we lift them up before you. We ask your grace and your blessings upon our governor. And then we ask your blessings upon the mayors of our cities. We thank you now that you're doing something extraordinary in our communities. You're bringing us together like never before. I bring up before you the downtrodden and those who have been suffering in this time that we're in. But today, you've given us an inroad. You've given us a resource that will make a difference in the lives of so many. You've given us an opportunity to lift up a brother or a sister. And for that, we acknowledge you in all things. We ask it even now because your word declares that you know the thoughts concerning us. They are thoughts of good and not of evil. Your word declares that you have an expected end for your people. And for that, we give you praise and we acknowledge all things that you're doing in our lives. Now lift up our heads that we may acknowledge you, amen, as the keeper of all things. It is in the powerful name of Jesus, I pray, amen, and thank God. God bless you. Thank you for this time.
And thank you, Bishop Myatt, for that powerful, powerful prayer. Well, those of you that are joining us, thank you for coming tonight. We have people from our social media platform and those that are joining us by Zoom. We're glad you could join us today. And in just a few moments, you're going to hear from some of Mister's finest. But before we do that, let's hear opening remarks from Bernie Johnson, Deputy Director of Mister, and following her will be Mr. Edwin Harlan, the Director of Mister's Outreach. Welcome, Bernie.
Thank you, Van. Good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining us. As you know, there's an economic fallout from the pandemic that's created a crisis, not only in healthcare as we wrestle with the virus, but also with employment and housing as well. Many people are without jobs and consequently behind on rent, utilities, mortgages, and a variety of other obligations. We know people need information and advice about how to access resources in order to address some of these issues. Fortunately, the resources are available to assist with these situations, and that's where you come in. All of you have folks in your congregations that can use the information and resources you're about to learn about on this webinar to address some of these crises and issues that they face. And we would ask that you play a pretty critical role in raising awareness, not only about MSHDA, but more importantly about the resources and the programs that are available with our agency. So for the next hour and a half, please enjoy the distinguished panel of experts. You're going to hear a lot of very valuable information, and we look forward to talking with you later on. And now I'd like to turn the program over to Edwin Harlan.
Well, thank you, Bernie Johnson. Thank you, Van, and thank you, Pastor Myatt. I just want to thank everyone that is on this particular virtual housing fair this evening, because the fair is not for us. It is for you attendees that are on this virtual housing fair call. And I also want to reach out and thank our interim director or acting director, Gary Heidel, who is the acting director for the MSHDA, Michigan State Housing Development Authority. In addition, as Van has indicated, I want to thank all of the participants that are participating, whether they work for the state, whether they lead a faith-based organization or our partners out in the field. It's usually a thank you at the end, but I decided to thank you up front because of all the hard work that has gone into this from the communications team, AMR, and all the other individuals that are helping bring this information to you. Normally, I get 4 questions. 2 of them typically deal with MSHDA, and then the other 2 deal with outreach. The first question the outreach team usually gets from the attendees is, what is a MSHDA? And we're going to answer that right now. MSHDA was created back in 1966 by an act of the state legislature. And we've been in business, if my math is correct, for about 55 years. The second question that is related to MSHDA is, what does MSHDA do? Basically, MSHDA is a housing finance authority whose mission is to generate affordable housing for low income, extremely low income, and other types of activities such as assisting homelessness. But you'll find out this evening, there's a lot more that MSHDA does, and I don't want to take away from that. Dealing with outreach, the first question is similar to the MSHDA question. What is an outreach? Well, if you flip the word around, outreach reaches out. And that's what we're doing this evening. We reach out to communities to deliver information, solution, contacts, and assistance. Those 4 things are outreach's main goal, main mission. And our vision is that we had to change. We started doing outreach back in 2016. We would go to facilities such as community colleges, lease space, rent space. But then the pandemic, COVID hit, and we had to reorganize our entire outreach methodology. So we went to streaming. As Van has mentioned earlier, we're doing social media, we're doing webinars, we're doing meetings, and quite frankly, we can reach more people now than we ever could before. And that's a blessing for the faith-based community and the non-faith-based community. So those are the answers to the 2 questions that are typically posed to us. So get your pencils, pens, computers, phones ready. A lot of the information that is coming, you don't have to worry about if you missed something or you got on late. This event is being recorded, and we will put it on the various websites and channels so that the people can get to the information. The next thing I would like to do is to put up some of the partners and pastors' logos. A lot of you know them by name because you're in their congregation. But if we could show that, Jennifer, yeah, there we go. Some of the people that you will see this evening, you heard from Christ Temple. Pastor Myatt did the opening prayer. You're going to hear from Pastor Hicks, Bishop Hicks, from the historic First Jurisdiction, Solomon's Temple. We're going to hear from also the National Faith Homebuyers, which is Deanna Harris. Enterprise is a partner whom we will hear from 2 individuals, Brianna and Stacy Esbrook. And you will also hear from the Opportunity Resource Fund, my dear friend Christy. And last but not least, I bet not leave Carlisle Fielding Stewart out, whom is my pastor at the Empowerment Church. Now, one of the ways that you can help us help you, was the slide that you showed before. MSHDA, you asked what we're doing. Here's an example of what MSHDA is doing statewide. We have a 5-year statewide housing plan. In that plan, we need input that comes back from the community. On this particular flyer, you can see that it's a Survey Monkey. I've already taken the test. It takes less than 10 minutes to fill it out. We will send to everyone that has registered for this event this flyer. So if you don't write down the particular link, don't worry, you will get this particular flyer. It's critical that you help us help you, because the data is what we use to develop housing in various communities that is affordable for all individuals. Next, I would like to introduce Mr. Dion A. Williams, who is the Director of the Faith-Based and Urban Affairs for the state of Michigan, coming directly from the governor's office. We have a statewide information dissemination. We have MSHDA information dissemination. We have partner information dissemination, and you will be very, very excited. And after Dion speaks, I will come back on to share a couple of more thoughts. Dion, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Harlan. Greatly appreciate this opportunity. Greetings to everyone. I am Dion Williams, the Director of Faith-Based and Urban Affairs for the state of Michigan in the governor's office. First, I'd like to thank Bernie, Mr. Harlan, Fred Hall, and Mr. Adams for this opportunity, and the outreach team at MSHDA for this opportunity to bring forth some information coming from the governor's office. We truly appreciate the opportunity for this partnership. This faith-based housing resource fair is a strong indication and a strong example of what Governor Whitmer is trying to provide when she provides resources to the community and resources to the community and the community to the resources, bringing those two together. My next slide, Governor Whitmer's third executive budget is centered around equitably growing the state's economy and expanding access to affordable housing and childcare for families, expanding skills, providing and furthering a down payment on rebuilding the state's crumbling bridges and water infrastructure, and helping small businesses recover from this COVID-19 pandemic. Governor Whitmer recently transmitted to the legislature a supplemental appropriations budget bill for the current fiscal year that provides $1.2 billion in new funding for programs that will help individuals and businesses recover from COVID-19. And just to give you a breakdown of that, 15.5, and just let me give this example. This is in addition to what MSHDA is already receiving, over $660 million. So this $1.2 billion is what the governor just implemented or just sent to the legislator as an opportunity to pass this budget. 15.5 million is to expand access to affordable housing and childcare. This addresses the critical needs faced by Michigan residents living in poverty. Today, 43% of Michigan residents struggle to afford basic necessities. Our LEO department has a multifaceted program that contributes to the state's efforts to helping families and communities in most need. $10 million of that for the Michigan Housing and Community Development Program is to alleviate the affordable housing needs across the state and revitalize downtown areas in Michigan. This is in addition to the $660.9 million. All of these are federal funds recommended in the fiscal year of 2021 supplemental budget to provide emergency rental and utility payment assistance, providing critical life a critical lifeline that will help families avoid evictions and to stay in their homes. 2.2 million of that is for childcare, a pilot program that will help the efforts to increase access to high quality and affordable childcare throughout unique collaborations and leverages both the state and business support. 2 million of that, another addition of that 2 million is for a child savings. This accounts to improve financial literacy, both education attainment for low-income children, and to build wealth in low-income families. The funding is also supported by 2 pilot programs in rural areas and urban communities. That is what these funds are matched outside of contributions to the child savings account. And then we also, out of that 1.2 billion, we've also added $1 million to the Michigan Poverty Task Force, which will conduct research and planning that will help lead the way towards improving effectiveness of the state's benefits program, to eliminate the barriers for individuals, eliminating access to these programs, eliminating all of the budgets, all of the barriers that are there. My next slide, please. Across the fiscal years 2021 and 2022, the governor's executive recommendation continues to invest a range of programs that will push Michigan forward on a path to recovery from COVID-19. $192.4 million for our 60 by 30 initiative. This reaches the goal. This will help reach, the state will help reach a goal of 60% of Michiganders that do not have a post-secondary degree or industry credentials, for those that are in skilled trades. This will help them, and this is a one-time funding. This will help them get themselves back onto their feet. This is a one-time funding of and again, I gotta say this, $192.4 million. $120 million for our Reconnect program, our Reconnect to provide tuition-free training for students that are older, that are 25, that are age 25 or older. They will receive credentials, certifications, and associate's degrees. This funding will be provided in the fiscal year 2022 to support programming costs in both fiscal years 2022 and 2023. In addition to that, $60.4 million for Future for Frontliners, to recognize and thank the frontliners who were on the battle of this pandemic, this COVID-19 pandemic, for their vital efforts for helping us get our way through this, right? So this is a tuition-free pathway to a degree or certification. Of this funding, the governor recommends $25 million to support the expansion of the program for frontliner workers that will become who just became newly unemployed as of November 1, 2020, all the way through January 31st of 2021 this year. And industries disappropriated that were directly impacted, by COVID-19. The appropriation of this funding, $21.3 million, is recommended in the fiscal year 2021 supplemental to support existing populations of frontliners and the programs to expand opportunities as quickly as possible. Next slide. $12 million for our Reconnect for Frontliners, Future for Frontliners. These are the wraparound services. This $12 million is to help those individuals who needs access to childcare, who needs access to tutoring, to career counseling. All of these fundings are to help people to pull themselves up by their bootstraps. This is our $1.2 billion. This is a part of our $1.2 billion budget that the governor just laid to the legislators a couple of weeks ago. So in closing, if you want to know more about our budget, if you want to know more about our programs, our Future for Frontliners, our Reconnect program, and how to access these funds as faith-based organizations or any individual that's out there that may need access, please go to our michigan.gov/budget website, and you will get all of the information that you would need. Also, I will put my information into the chat to where you can contact me directly if you're not able to access it.
Well, thank you. Dion Williams, as I indicated, a wealth of information that's being provided from the state, and a gentleman that's responsible for faith-based and urban affairs. I tell the people all the time that money is a tool. If you don't utilize the tool that's available at your disposal, then the money is just sitting there and not being utilized. $1.2 billion of opportunity specifically from the state proposed budget. When I turn it back over to Van, you will then hear about information that MSHDA has that is separate from that budget. So Van, I just wanted to make sure everyone understood 1.2 billion is how we started this show. So I'm turning it over to you. Add to the 1.2 billion. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Edwin. And thank you, Dion, Director of Office of Faith-Based and Urban Affairs. We really appreciate that valuable information. And of course, there's a lot of other great information coming your way, so you'll want to stick around for that. Tonight, we are honored to have as our partners some of Michigan's foremost faith and community builders. Coming to share brief remarks in this order are Pastor Carlisle Fielding Stewart, followed by Bishop H.D. Davenport IV, as well as Pastor Zachary Hicks. We will start with Pastor Carlisle Stewart, who will come and bring greetings at this time.
Praise the Lord, saints. Good to see everyone today. Thankful for the opportunity to share some ideas and thoughts with you as we continue this journey of faith, which is a great journey. The presentation thus far has been informative and completely awesome. We need good workers, and we need continued faith-based missions to our people and to the community, not only of the state and the city and all of the metropolitan areas, but our nation across state lines. But we give God thanks for this opportunity to share some thoughts with you and to be with you on this occasion. I am deeply humbled and greatly honored to have this opportunity just to share a few thoughts, because as a person of faith, rooted in primarily the Christian faith, it is important to remember the mission of Jesus of Nazareth and how he ministered through his Kingdom of God ministry, speaking to the needs, the ultimate concerns of the people of his time, not only by feeding the hungry, but also giving healing, words of encouragement and uplift, empowering the people to develop their self-esteem and to build their sense of somebodyness in a world that had often overlooked them and had basically surpassed them. And so we are happy tonight to be part of a faith tradition that affirms a ministry in real time to real people, to meet real needs, knowing that his ministry was a ministry of hospitality, that the ministry of Jesus Christ certainly coincides with what MSHDA is doing in terms of meeting the needs of the least of these, in the middle of these, and all those who can be a part of this mission of service. And when I say that he was an instrument in this mission of reaching out and creating hospitality, we remember the scripture in Matthew 8:2 that says that foxes have dens, birds have nests, but the Son of Man has no place to rest his head. His entire ministry focus was to create a sense of belonging among the people through healing, acts of mercy, acts of compassion and justice, acts of feeling, acts of feeding the people who needed to hear a word from God at that time. Part of Jesus' ministry, as it is part of MSHDA's ministry and also other churches throughout the metropolitan area, is to take the hostilities of the world and to transform them into a place of hospitality and grace for all. We often refer to the church as a church home, simulating the values of home life, creating a sense of belonging, a place where people can come and share and grow and live and love and be empowered to use their gifts in ways that God has given them the mission to do. So thank you for allowing us to have some time today and to share in this mission of service, of kingdom building, of restoring a sense of self-esteem and hopefulness for people who have been ravaged by the politics of deprivation and all of the other forms of food insecurity and everything else that has gone on in one of the richest countries in the world. And we thank the governor and all of the people involved in this, Reverend Ed Harlan, and all of the teammates and members of this effort to give a witness of faith to people in need and to let them know that they are still people and that God still cares about them. And so we thank you for that and say, God bless you for all your work and for all that you're doing in ways that will help to make our world better and add value to the lives of people who so richly deserve it. God bless you today, and thank you for these moments of sharing.
Thank you, Pastor Stewart. Appreciate those powerful words, transforming hostilities to hospitality. That was fantastic. Well, next up is Bishop H.D. Davenport. That's my pastor from Solomon's Temple, and we'll let him come at this time and bring greetings. Welcome, Bishop Davenport.
Hey, thank you, Van Adams. I appreciate you and this entire team putting such a wonderful forum together for the purpose of blessing people and the community. I'm especially excited about this because I was born and raised here in Detroit, Michigan, and I have a deep love in my heart to see this city progress, to see the people of this city progress. That's why Solomon's Temple is known as the church in the heart of the city, with the people of the city in his heart. And we are so in love with the city until we're doing whatever we can do to meet the spiritual needs of people, to meet the social needs of people, to meet even the physical needs of people by virtue of our gym that we have across the street. We are doing so many things to bless the community. Let me just name some. I have about 1 minute, and so I'm going to do the best I can. But listen, here at Solomon's Temple, our heart is so into helping people until every first and third Friday, we distribute food boxes to hundreds of families. What a joy it is to me to see people driving up and driving off and saying, Bishop Davenport, thank you so much, because we didn't have anything to eat. That brings joy to my soul. We are also a testing site for COVID-19, and I find great joy in that as well. In addition, we provide a safe and fun haven through the instrumentality of our youth center, equipped with the gym. I touched on that momentarily. And the beauty of that is pre-COVID-19, and we will enforce it post COVID-19, young people are able to come to our gym, which keeps them off the street. And then finally, I have a burning desire in my heart to acquire housing, to transform them, to take these dilapidated homes and transform them into affordable housing. That's one of my dreams, is to buy up the dilapidated homes in the 48234 for a zip code and transform them into beautiful, affordable housing. And I have so many other things that's burning in my heart for the city of Detroit. I only have 1 minute, so I'm going to be obedient, but thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you, Bishop Davenport. Yes, you are so correct. It is your vision to transform the community around that place of worship. And if many more of our pastors would do that, we could begin to see a wonderful transformation in our cities. And so last but not least is Pastor Zachary Hicks of Faith Clinic Church, Church of God in Christ. Welcome, Pastor Hicks.
God bless you, sir. We greet everybody in the name of the Lord. And I concur with my constituents who have gone before me. I want to take this time to appreciate the MSHDA staff. We've been involved in affordable housing for a number of years now on the local level at Faith Clinic. We worked with Reverend Harlan for a number of years, and we appreciate his advocacy and him championing the cause for people who really have no voice and no opportunity. So we really appreciate him on a personal level. I represent the Church of God in Christ, not just Faith Clinic Church of God in Christ, but I've been recently appointed as the Bishop Designate for the Michigan historical first jurisdiction of the Church of God in Christ. Just to let you know the impact that we're having on tonight, and that we're going to take this to the Church of God in Christ. I oversee approximately 67 churches here throughout the great state of Michigan, all over Michigan. Within the state of Michigan, there are approximately 460 churches of God in Christ that we all collaborate in. They will get this information. In the United States, there are over 12,000 churches of God in Christ, incorporating more than 6.5 million members worldwide. We're in about 120 countries, affecting over 8 million members. And the point I'm trying to make is that many of us, these members and those individuals that they are connected to, have need of these resources that MSHDA is providing, have need of help when it comes to foreclosure, when it comes to eviction, when it comes to home ownership, even when it comes to land and property acquisition. So we really, the Church of God in Christ really embraces this opportunity. And joint with this venture will be our Director of Urban Affairs Ministries here in Northeast Michigan, in the person of Pastor Robert Preston Harris, who will become very, very familiar to the individuals there at MSHDA. And we stand ready, we stand willing to help and participate. We're not novice when it comes to affordable housing, you know. And in my closing, again, I want to circle back around to, and I can't say it enough, Reverend Edwin Harlan has been a champion here in Southeast Michigan for a long time. So God bless all of you. We appreciate these a few fleeting moments to address this vast audience. And again, we stand willing and ready to help, not only with the Church of God in Christ individuals, but anybody who is in need. God bless you all. Thank you.
Hey, thank you, Pastor Hicks. We appreciate that. And yes, I recall that you were involved in one of our tax credit projects. And
Yes, sir.
That's a project that many of our other leaders in our communities ought to take advantage of. Well,
Yes,
in
sir.
just a moment, we're going to hear a firsthand testimony from a person that I'm going to bring to you in just a moment. And then afterwards, I'm going to give you a little demonstration on one of our resources. Well, I don't know about you, but it's always a great thing to hear firsthand someone that has had a good or bad housing experience, because we think you can learn something from that. So here to tell us more about their experience is Miss Denise Townsend Gamlin. Welcome, Denise.
Thank you. I want to say good evening to everyone, and I appreciate you giving me the opportunity to participate in this great program and for giving me the opportunity to share my story. My name is Denise Townsend Gamlin. I'm also a member of the Empowerment Church of Southfield, which is led by our beloved spiritual leader, Carlisle Stewart III. I'm honored to be on this panel with him and also the other distinguished clergy members and panelists from MSHDA and other partners. Today, I'm here to talk about a faith-based housing fair that changed my life 19 years ago when I was divorced, a single mother, and renting a 2-bedroom townhouse. I don't know if you all will recall what 2002 was like, but it was a time when accessing information was not very easy. The internet was just coming into existence, and many of us were using dial-up connections because Wi-Fi for the home was just emerging, and cell phones were not prevalent. Google searches were new, and social media platforms like Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram didn't even exist. This was a time when your primary sources of information were the news, your local newspaper, or just word of mouth. And that's when I received a newspaper article from a dear friend of mine about something I had never heard of before, and that was a housing fair that was being held at the Trinity Missionary Baptist Church in Pontiac. At the top of the article, she wrote, "Don't you think it's time?" I had been back in Michigan for 2 years when she sent me this article. By then, I had depleted most of my savings, and I knew I didn't have enough money for a down payment. Plus, I was willing to sacrifice home ownership so that I could move into a community that had a good school system and a multi-age classroom for my daughter. But the prices for homes were beyond my reach, and so I was willing to rent. So I put the article aside and concluded that I was not ready to be a homeowner again. But the story doesn't end there, because all week long, I thought about the article and began to wonder if it was possible for me to afford a home with no down payment and questionable credit because of my divorce. Frankly, I was really afraid of being embarrassed, and I didn't even want to talk to anybody about it. But on the day of the fair, I read the article again, and I said a prayer. I scooped up my daughter and I drove to the church. I decided to step out on faith and overcome my fear. I had lost so much from the divorce, and I felt God was telling me I had nothing else to lose and everything to gain. So upon arrival at the church, I saw they had a secure area for kids that offered snacks and games and entertainment. And again, because it was a church, I felt comfortable leaving my daughter there while I walked around the fair to gather information from the vendors and speak to the lenders. I could see that all of the major financial institutions were there, so I went to each one. I explained I had a good job, no money for a down payment, and I wasn't sure about the status of my credit, and I asked them if they could help me buy a home. I know, it was a laughable story. Most said sorry. No, they couldn't. But to my surprise, one of the lenders there said yes and invited me to come and see him that Monday. He pulled my credit report, told me what I needed to do to clean it up, and within a week, I was pre-approved for a mortgage and went on to purchase the home I'm still living in today. So my message to everyone is, have faith over fear. You don't know what doors God will open for you. It was a message from a friend that led me to a housing fair where I received access to a great deal of information in one location and where I received hope. It's important to have access to information like the information you will receive here today from MSHDA. Information is powerful. But I also want to say that having faith over fear can change your life forever. So again, I appreciate the opportunity to participate in this wonderful program and to share my testimony. Thank you to all, and God bless you.
Wow, thank you, Denise. That was indeed a powerful testimony. We know you were having some technical difficulty, and that's why we couldn't see you, but we could hear you loud and clear. And thank you for those words of encouragement. Well, I want to share with you a great resource that will allow you to locate a home or place to rent from the convenience of your home. It's a brief demonstration that you can use. It's called the Michigan Housing Locator. As you can see here, just go to your browser. It's moving kind of fast, but type michiganhousinglocator.com. That's michiganhousinglocator.com. And this screen will pop up. It allows you to type in the city or county or zip code that you're interested in, put the amount that you can afford in rent, the number of bedrooms you would like, and boom, it will give you as many of the houses out there on the market for rent, even if you are handicapped or need handicapped accessibility. This is a great tool that we want you to take advantage of and share with your friends. It's called the Michigan Housing Locator. Thank you very much. All right, I'm excited about this next segment. As we move along tonight, we have three of our outstanding MSHDA leaders that are going to come at this time and bring us information. First up will be Ms. Tanya Young. Welcome, Tanya.
Thanks, Van. Good evening. Thank you for joining us. I would like to share with you what is happening in the Neighborhood Housing Initiatives Division. We have two programs that we would like to talk about this evening within the Neighborhood Housing Initiatives Division. One of them is the Neighborhood Enhancement Program, and that is rehabilitation of existing homes and neighborhood amenities. The second program is MSHDA, and that's for new construction of affordable housing units. So both of these programs are offered statewide in annual competitions. And I'll give you a little bit of information about each one. Next slide, please. So the NEP program is a regional distribution methodology where grants are between $25,000 to $75,000 per agency. Eligible applicants are nonprofit 501c3 agencies and local units of government. We look at rural as well as non-rural areas within the state. However, the program is not open to local units of government that are annual direct recipients of HUD funding for CDBG in a home. So the activity components are basically half of the money has to go to housing enhancements and homeowner repairs to owner-occupied single-family structures. The remaining funds can be applied to public amenity projects within the neighborhoods, such as parks, trails, playgrounds, community gardens. And this is very innovative and flexible funding. So we're looking for what is needed and necessary within the neighborhood and what would be a good fit. So we're willing to look at other projects as well. Next slide, please. So all the activities are restricted to income qualified neighborhood areas. And these are low mod areas that are at least 120% area median income. So the boundaries within them have to be primarily residential, and the census tracts and block groups need to have at least 51% low mod residents within them that are primary homeowners. This is not typically a rental program, but we are exploring that in round 6. So stay tuned for how this works out when we look at round 7. We are allowing a certain percentage of the dollars to be tested in the rental area of single family homes. If you want more information about the NEP program itself, you can go to the MSHDA website. And if you click on the box that's titled NEP in your community, you'll see each region of the state and each one of the agencies that have received funds. And within there, you'll see a final outcome report and pictures for each one of their projects and their success stories. So and that's very interesting if you're looking for ideas on how you can spend our dollars. To get your agency placed on the funding availability notification email list, please send a request to the HID mailbox at michigan.gov. So we are anticipating there will be an NEP round 7 this fall, and we will be making the announcement August of 2021 with the application window September and November of this year, and the submission deadline being December. We'll be planning to make determinations of funding next February, and awards will be in place next May, and then we'll be implementing the program thereafter. So we are funding round 6 right now. We fund about 80% of the requests that we received this funding round, and there is significant competitive interest in the program. So anybody who would like any information about this program, we're welcome to sit with you and to go through what we would be looking for and how you need to structure in order to qualify your nonprofit 501c3. So there's another interesting program that we will be making a formal announcement on. We just started this as a permanent funding allocation. This is called the MSHDA program, which is modular housing, and it's new construction of an affordable single family unit at a price point less than $200,000. And this is where you order a home from a manufacturing facility, and then they deliver it on site. Then you install it on the site and you sell it to a family, and then you can recycle those dollars after you successfully sell the first home. So it establishes a comp in the neighborhood and encourages new construction. And the homes all have to fit into the existing neighborhood so that when you drive through, you can't tell the difference of the brand new MSHDA home and the neighborhoods that it's within. So if you have any questions or you'd like any more information, you go to the HID mailbox at michigan.gov.
Hey, thank you, Tanya. Before you leave, one of the frequently asked questions we get are, what do we have for those looking for home repair? Is that something that the Neighborhood Housing Initiative provides? And if so, how does a person access those resources?
Okay, so if you are in a community that has a nonprofit agency or a local unit of government that will apply directly for our funding, you would go to them and you would see when their applications are going to be available. We do support homeowner rehab. If the total cost investment in a property is less than $7,500, then it is going to be a grant and there is no lien requirement on that property. If it's over $7,500, we do require a lien, but it's 5 years forgivable. So if they stay in the house for 5 years, then it's erased. So it's really important, if you want to reach out to us and find out if there's a nonprofit within your neighborhood that's working in NEP already, we can get you that list. Just send it to the HID mailbox. Or I would really encourage you to get them to sign up for the HID mailbox in michigan.gov to be on the mailing list for the next funding round and see if they would be able to apply.
Thank you so much, Tanya. That's valuable information, especially for the many people that are looking for home repair dollars. You need to get your nonprofit agency in your community to apply for these dollars. They are right there. You just have to go through the process. All right, next up, let's hear from the director of our home ownership division, Miss Mary Townley. Welcome, Mary.
Thank you, Van. Thank you for inviting me to participate in this event tonight. What I'd like to do is talk a little bit about what the homeownership division does. Our role in housing is to help individuals obtain their first home or even their second home, but make sure that they get into a safe, secure loan transaction that's affordable and that will help them build housing wealth, down the road. So we work through lenders across the state. Lenders could be either a mortgage company, a credit union, a bank, and we provide our loan details or programs to them. So they can offer you our product and also offer you a down payment assistance. We also offer a mortgage credit certificate. It's a federal tax credit, and that will also help you help with that home affordability. We offer targeted and non-targeted areas, and the big difference is you can be a repeat buyer and you can buy in a targeted area, and you're not prohibited from buying that home. So let's go to the next screen. The lenders that you will go to will qualify you for a mortgage, whether it be a conventional or a government loan. We have some compliance overlays, MSHDA does. So we have prior home ownership district overlays, sales price limits are 224.5. We have income limits, and that's household income limits. And it varies by location and the number of family members that you have in the house. We also have a asset restriction of $20,000, and that asset restriction comes into play when you take advantage of a down payment. MSHDA does have 2 different down payment programs, and I'll talk about a little bit about that on the next screens. We offer 4 different loan programs with our participating lenders. We do a conventional, an FHA, a rural development, and a VA loan. Rural development, we won't see a lot of that coming out of Detroit, but the other 3 programs we see quite a bit. We have a Michigan DPA loan and a $10,000 DPA loan. Both of these require the dollars to be used for down payment, closing costs, prepaids. These loans don't have an interest rate assigned to them. There's no monthly payment. It's just a lien that's placed on the home. And when you sell that home, it's paid off at that time. If you refinance it, that we would also request that it be paid out. As a buyer, your investment in the transaction is only 1% of the sales price. So our down payment can really make a difference in getting a homeowner in that home. Our cash asset restrictions apply to transactions that have a down payment. And we also have a requirement that all home buyers must complete a homebuyer education class. This helps the homeowner by doing a couple things. It helps them with understanding the home buying process, what's involved with closing, what are all the documents that they're going to be signing, what does it mean? And it also helps build a relationship with that home buyer to that nonprofit agency, so that, if there's any struggles down the road and they need some help, they have a resource to go to, someone that they may have already built that relationship with. We previously talked about the DPA loans that they're due upon sale or transfer or refinance of the first mortgage. So here's a comparison of the 2 DPA loans. The first is the My DPA loan. It's up to $7,500. It's offered on our conventional products and our FHA products, and it's available statewide. The My 10K DPA loan is $10,000, so a little bit more, and it's available on a FHA or a conventional loan basis. We also allow, if your closing costs and prepaids don't equal $10,000, which they shouldn't, you'll have some extra cash, and that can be applied to the principal balance and buy down that loan, which will help with the monthly payment. It'll decrease the monthly payment for that homeowner. Now, this 10,000 DPA is only available in 236 zip codes. And there's quite a few zip codes in the southeast area of Michigan that are eligible for this 10K. We also offer an MCC program. It's a mortgage credit certificate. It is a federal tax credit. So every year when the homeowner completes their taxes, they can get a 20% credit off of the interest that they paid on that loan. And they can take that credit every year as long as they still have that mortgage in place. It's offered on single family owner occupied residents. And if there's any interest, anyone that's interested in this program, there's a link for Housing Education Agency and Experienced Loan Officers locator, and it's on the MSHDA website. So here is my contact information. If you have any questions after the event tonight, feel free to post a question out there and we will definitely get back to you.
Thank you, Mary. As a matter of fact, we did have quite a few questions coming through the chat. I want to pose just two for you tonight before we have to move on to Kelly. That question is, do all home buyers have to complete a home buyer education class? And what about poor credit?
So if you are an applicant that is looking to take advantage of the down payment assistance program, then yes, you will be required to take a home buyer education class. I highly recommend it for all buyers, but our down payment clients must complete it. Credit question. MSHDA has a credit score of no less than 640, which is on the low side in comparison to quite a few other lenders. You know, they may have 680 as a minimum or even 700. So 640 is our credit score. And if you are an applicant that doesn't have a 640 credit score, I would advise that you go out to our website and link to one of our nonprofit counseling agencies on our site, link to one that's in your community, and they will help you by providing some guidance on how you can increase your credit score.
Thank you, Mary. You know that home buyer education agency is so vital. As a matter of fact, in a few moments, we'll hear from one of those agencies tonight. But before we do that, let's go now to Kelly Rose, who's going to give us more information about a lot of programs that are happening as we speak. Welcome, Kelly.
Good evening, everyone. So today I'm going to tell you about the COVID Emergency Rental Assistance Program. And this program is just getting kicked off this week. This program is geared towards tenants that have been impacted by COVID and have had an economic hardship, and it's caused them to fall behind on either their rent or their utilities. So the eligibility for this program is tenants can be up to 80% of the area median income. And this is adjusted by county as well as by household size. And households do have to have experienced an economic hardship during COVID. It doesn't have to be a current hardship. So maybe someone was on unemployment for 4 or 5 months last year, but they've since regained their employment, but they're still behind on their rent and trying to catch up for that period of time where they were out of work. They would be qualified for this program. So someone could have anyone in the household received unemployment, had decrease in their income, increased expenses, or another financial hardship. And they also have to be at risk of homelessness or housing instability. And we look at that in terms of you're either behind on your rent or behind on your utilities, and that qualifies as housing instability. Next slide, please. So in terms of the rental assistance benefit, we can pay up to 12 months of rental assistance with this program. So this is a much longer benefit term than what we were able to provide in the eviction diversion program. So families up to 50% of area median income will get 12 months of rental assistance. And with that, it can be we can also do 3 months of forward rental assistance. So it could be 9 months of arrears and 3 months forward, or 10 months of arrears and 2 months forward. But we can only do up to 3 months of forward rental assistance at a time. And those families that fall between 50 to 80% of area median income, they'll be initially eligible for up to 10 months of rental assistance. And both of those income groups can also get another 3 months of rental assistance if it's necessary to preserve their housing stability. And the maximum amount of rental assistance we can give in this program is 15 months. Rent will be limited to 150% of the fair market rent. So this doesn't mean that the tenant would be ineligible for the program if their rent exceeded this level. It just means that we'll only pay up to that level for each month of rent, and then the tenant would be responsible for anything that's above 150% of fair market rent. And the program will cover up to $200 of late fees and up to $150 of court costs. We also can help folks with their internet for this program. So if they have internet in their home, they can receive a $300 internet stipend. So this is a $300 direct payment to the tenant to help them with their internet bills. Next slide. We can also cover utilities. So Sarah can pay for electricity, any type of home heating, water, sewer, and trash. One caveat to this is trash will only be paid if it's bundled with another utility. So if it comes on a statement with your water or sewer bill, then trash will be an included benefit. And we do have payment caps by household size. So if it's a household size of 1 to 2 people, then there would be a maximum of $1,500 that would get paid towards their utilities. And of that $1,500, up to $300 could be paid as a credit on their utility bill to help them out, for that next month's utility bill. Next slide, please. So the application process. We will have an online application portal that should be available right around April 1st. And that's really going to be a much improved process than what we have right now in terms of having mostly a paper-based process of working with your local service agency. So we encourage people, that's only about 2 weeks away until we'll have the online application portal up and running. And this will be smartphone friendly. So you can use your smartphone, tablet, or a computer to fill out the application documents and upload any of the necessary like income documents and your ID and your lease, those types of documents will need to get uploaded into the application process. We will have a paper application available the entire time throughout this program in case someone doesn't have good internet access and it doesn't really fit their situation to apply online. For these first few weeks of the program, we are prioritizing eviction cases for processing. Because right now, the CDC eviction moratorium might be ending at the end of this month. And we know that there are hundreds, if not potentially in the thousands, of cases that judgments have been entered on evictions. And we don't want those folks to get evicted and put out of their units. So we want to work with those families as quickly as possible so that we can avoid the eviction process and get those payments made before April hits, and those families could potentially be evicted. Once we get the online application up and running, there'll be a public dashboard where people will be able to look at any county in Michigan to look at how many applications have been received, how many are being processed and funded, and how much money is getting spent for both rental assistance as well as utility assistance. Next slide, please. So for more information on this, the website that we've set up is michigan.gov/CERA, CERA, standing for COVID Emergency Rental Assistance. So you can go to this website to look to find the service agency that's in your area and to read more about the eligibility and the type of documents that you'll need to collect if you want to apply to this program. So we really encourage people to share this website information. Please encourage everyone if they've fallen behind on their rent or their utilities, this program is out here. We want people to reach it so that they're getting this beneficial assistance. Thank you.
Thank you, Kelly. We did have a few questions here that I wanted to share with you. One is, are there any resources for those who have prior evictions?
Well, for prior evictions, you can go to the local housing assessment and resource agency if you're having a housing crisis, to where a prior eviction maybe is making it trouble to get a new landlord to be able to accept you in terms of a tenant. They can probably point you in the direction of landlords who are a little bit more friendly to tenants that have potentially not a great rental history.
Thank you. What about assistance for landlords?
Yes, so for this program, the payments do go directly to the landlords. So the landlords are part of the application process, to where we'll get the ledger from the landlord, some of their documentation, the lease, and they'll fill out the application to solidify how much the rental arrears are, and the payments do go directly to the landlord. So really this program benefits both landlords and tenants. Tenants get the benefit of being able to stay in their unit and preserve their housing, and landlords get to recoup the back rent that hasn't been paid over this past year, so that they can pay their bills, because we do know landlords are hurting as well. They're small business owners in many cases. They have mortgages and property taxes that need to be paid. So this program really will benefit both tenants and landlords.
All right, great. One last question. When will the Southeast Michigan HCV program reopen?
Well, so for the HCV program, we still have really lengthy waiting lists in Southeast Michigan. We have people still on the waiting list from 2006. So we know that this resource really is just, we're not given enough funding to be able to fully meet the need of this program. So I'm not sure when we're going to be opening those waiting lists. Because we still have thousands and thousands of applicants that applied, 15 years ago for the program, that are still on our waiting list waiting to be served, which I know is really unfortunate. We wish we had more funding available so that we could serve more people, but we will just continue to do the best we can to serve as many people as possible.
And for those of you that don't know, HCV means Housing Choice Voucher, or what we used to term Section 8. So thank you, Kelly, for that valuable information. I know we couldn't get to everybody's question. I see a lot of questions still coming through the chat. Keep in mind that this program will be shared again in a couple days on our website, so you'll be able to view it again. And tonight we're going to have a bonus period of question and answer right after the main event. So we'll take a little bit more time and try to get to some of the questions we could not answer.
Dreams are important. You don't dream very much when you're on the streets. Coming from homeless to having your own key, you can lock your own door. Does a lot for an individual.
Everyone deserves safe, decent, affordable housing, yet too many families are struggling to afford basic necessities. The pandemic amplified these challenges and highlighted the need to aggressively address racial disparities impacting communities of color. MSHDA is spearheading a strategic planning effort to create Michigan's first 5-year statewide housing plan.
Once you don't have all the normal stuff to worry about, you guys, it's something else that comes alive in you. And then you work on it to where it becomes a perfection. And then when you become a perfection, it's a career. It's something that you sometimes never know is there until you start working on it, and then you see how it blossoms from the seed to the flower.
The statewide housing plan is a comprehensive approach using data to identify challenges facing Michigan residents and action steps to overcome those challenges. These are complex challenges that require a comprehensive approach, bringing together partners, communities, stakeholders from across the state of Michigan to collaboratively work together to develop solutions to these challenges that will benefit all of Michigan's residents.
Let's go now to my good friend, Fred Durhall. He's going to be the moderator of the next segment, and we have some great information and things that you want to stay tuned for. Fred, I turn it over to you.
Well, thank you very much, Van, and good evening, everyone. Hasn't it just been such a great program thus far? I'm pleased to be here tonight to be able to talk to Michigan citizens along with our wonderful outreach team. My name is Fred Durhal. I am a community liaison for Michigan State Housing Development Authority's outreach team. And just again, we're pleased to be here tonight. One of the most important components of MSHDA is its citizens. We aim to serve our citizens with all their housing related needs. And so with that, we want to kind of segue tonight and do something a little bit different. As we understand that our citizens' opinions are important and we can only best serve your needs when you articulate them to us, we've decided tonight to do an online poll, a live poll here on our live virtual event. And so we will start our housing fair poll. We will go through the questions. People's formats may differ, but you may have to scroll down to see the 4 questions as they are presented. You can click on the questions. And at the very end of the poll, we will go over some of the results. So our first question is, have you ever referred a client to a MSHDA program? You can answer yes, no, or not sure. Our second question, how often do you make referrals to MSHDA's programs? Daily, weekly, monthly, yearly, or never? Our third question, which MSHDA programs are most important to you and the people you serve? Home ownership, rental assistance, neighborhood enhancement, or rental development? And finally, in the virtual age, we know staying in touch and staying connected is very important. So our final question tonight is, do you follow MSHDA on your social media, your Facebook, your Twitter, or your LinkedIn? Yes or no? And right now we'll move to some of the results after you hit the submit button. We'll give it a few moments. For our first question, have you ever referred a person or client to a MSHDA program? 53% of our participants tonight said they have, which is very good news. We'd love to get that number up. And this is what we aim to do in these type of events that we sponsor. Our second question, how often do you make referrals to MSHDA's programs? 3% said daily, 11% said weekly, 17% said monthly, 23% said yearly, and 46% said never, which is again, one of the important aspects of this event. We will work to increase those numbers. Our third question, which MSHDA programs are most important to you and the people you serve? 47% said home ownership, 29% said rental assistance, 17% said neighborhood enhancement, and 7% said rental development. And finally, do you follow MSHDA on our social media, Facebook, Twitter, or LinkedIn? 78% said no, and 22% said yes. So with that, we'd like you to know that we are on all social media platforms. All you have to do is search for MSHDA on Facebook or Twitter, as well as LinkedIn. And you can follow us for our live events. You can follow us for some of our programs and information on housing resources that we provide for the citizens of the state of Michigan. And so with that, we'd like to move on to the second half of our program. As we realize that our partnerships are important, you've heard from some of MSHDA's great employees and some of our great servants of the public. We also realize that there are other great servants around the state of Michigan who work in different entities and different programs. And so tonight you'll hear from a few, but first you'll hear from one of our great partners, Ms. Dina Harris. And Ms. Dina Harris is with the National Faith Home Buyers. And that has just been a great program for MSHDA in partnership. As we strive to meet our citizens with our housing needs, we understand that counseling is an important aspect and is imperative to reach our citizens. So tonight, Ms. Dina Harris from the National Faith Home Buyers will come on and tell you a little bit more about what they do and how it can help you and your family as well as Michigan citizens. Dina?
Thank you, Fred. I'm right here. Hopefully everybody can hear me. At first, I'm honored to be invited, and especially knowing that this is a faith-based workshop, and we are a faith-based nonprofit, so that kind of works really well. Um, I want to tell you all that I'm the founder of National Faith Home Buyers, and I started it because I was a single mom that experienced a really hard time in my life. I was homeless. I lost my job. Everything that could go wrong had gone wrong. I didn't know how to fix my credit. My score was probably in the 400s. So I started researching how to help myself and found out, as a Christian, that not helping everyone else helped me. And I've discovered that along the way, 20 years later, we're still helping people. National Faith started in 1996 in Ann Arbor, and we had such a outpouring of people that we moved to Detroit in 2001. And Bishop P.A. Brooks, who passed last year, was our chairman of the board for over 10 years, and he helped us to get set up in Detroit. So we became a real faith-based group in Detroit. I'd like to tell you that we help between 200 and 300 people a year to get their mortgage and close on their home. We provide counseling and education. Our counseling program is very unique, I think, because we find out where you are and we help you to find the home of your dreams, but the life plan. We work with you if you're trying to start a small business, whatever you're trying to do to create an income to own and pay for that home. So we don't just start with getting you in a house. We take it way beyond that. That's what we try to do. We have an education class every month, and I really think you would enjoy them. Our class is from 9 to 1 month on a Saturday. And we really, I have a short attention span. So I just said, I can't sit in a class for 4 hours and not lose my mind. So every 40 minutes, we change teachers. We have every reputable bank and mortgage company teaching the classes. They rotate. The classes are 40 minutes in time period. And we have a scavenger hunt. Okay, and I think that's like the most fun thing that we do. And we find household items that you have to find. You got like 10 minutes to find them, and then you send us a picture of you holding that item. And the first 3 people that do that, they win a $20 that we will cash app to you, or we'll gift card it. So it's a real immediate fun, immediate cash. And that class qualifies you for a down payment assistance, for Mr. programs, for many, many great programs. So I really, it's not just a class, even though we made it fun. The education is so valuable and it's so important. And I can't tell you how many people attend that class and really learn something. Our next class is this coming Saturday. Unfortunately, we're already booked. We take 125 people each month. So, but our next class is on our website. It's www.nationalfaith.org. And that class you can attend. I believe the next one is in April. Normally they're at the end of the month. So you'll certainly get a chance to attend one of our classes. We advertise those classes on Eventbrite. And so you can find that information again on our website. We have approximately 1,000 families a year that complete that class. We also, since 2002, we have been administering the down payment assistance program for Wayne County government. We've been giving out about $7,500. And we also are a HUD and MSHDA certified agency. So our class also qualifies you for MSHDA down payment assistance. And if many of you may know and have heard, MSHDA has increased their down payment money, and no one should miss an opportunity to get money to help you buy your house. We also administer down payment money for the city of Lincoln Park, city of Taylor, Livonia, and Westland. But just so you know, MSHDA's down payment covers every city in Michigan, okay? Our offices are located in Detroit, Westland, and Atlanta, Georgia. But here's the most important thing. Our classes are virtual. That means that I don't care where you are on the planet, you can actually attend our classes. And again, it's plenty of great information, and you don't even have to leave your home. And that's the real beauty of it. We also do our counseling virtually if you like. We take you however you come. If we have to teach you by phone, we have to educate. I mean, if we have to counsel you, we will do it by phone, and we will do it whatever way you want to. Okay. We are currently working on minimizing our application. It originally was like 20 pages. We're working on reducing that. So I just want you to know that. The other thing we do is develop affordable housing for people in the city of Detroit and Wayne County. We have developed over 700 homes in 9 years. And I think last but not least, we have a veterans program where we work to help veterans become homeowners. And we have given away 5 homes to veterans in the past 7 years. If you go to our website, you will see some of the great things we did. We love surprising veterans, and we gave a veteran a home at a Pistons game, at a football bowl game. So, you know, I think that when home ownership is such a stressful process, that we should kind of make it a little bit fun, right? Because it's a very scary process. We continue to create housing solutions. And so we're here to figure it out. If we don't have the answers for you, we're going to find them out. We don't create your choices. We help you to figure out what you want. And that's what we do at National Faith Home Buyers.
Well, thank you so very, very much, Dina. You know, we value your partnership. You know, National Faith Home Buyers, one thing that I don't know if we mentioned is one of MSHDA's designated housing counseling agencies. And so they've been working very close with us for a very long time.
Yes.
They've been very instrumental in helping citizens. And we are just so thankful for Dina, National Faith Home Buyers, and then the partnership that we've established. If you'd like to contact Dina, her contact information is on the screen, which is 313-255-9500. That's 313-255-9500. Or she can also be reached at www.nationalfaith.org. That's www.nationalfaith.org. So Dina, again, we appreciate your partnership and thank you for being on tonight and sharing some information with us.
Thank you for having me, Fred. God bless everybody. Good luck on your homeownership journey.
Thank you so much. And so just want to, to let the audience know really quick, I know we're approaching 6:30, but we are going to continue with the program, and we will also be on after the program to answer some of the questions. I know we've seen so many questions come through our chat. So even if you have any questions for any of our presenters, please feel free to ask them through the chat. I think they'll still be on. They'll be able to answer some of those questions for you as we move along into our program. One of the things that we also understand as an outreach team as we travel the state of Michigan and talk to a lot of our citizens is that we hear one term that is floated around a lot, and that term is opportunity. And as we speak about opportunity or in housing, there is a group that is really, really, really an expert at utilizing their tools to make sure that our citizens have the opportunity that they need. The Opportunity Resource Fund, again, is a great program, a CDFI. And tonight we have Ms. Christine Narayanan, who will speak a little bit about what a CDFI is, if you don't know, and some of the great work that is being done at the Opportunity Resource Fund. So Christy, please take it away.
Thank you for that wonderful introduction. I hope everyone's able to hear me. Happy St. Patrick's Day. Had to represent with my green. I'm a 5th generation Irish American, so got to celebrate that. Thank you everyone for being here tonight. I just want to give you a brief overview. I know it's been a lot of great information and we're well into the evening, so I won't keep you. I just want to mention what is a CDFI. A CDFI is all of these things. We're a nonprofit. We're a loan fund, we're an investment opportunity, we're a change maker, and we're really a social justice influencer. And our mission is up here, and I know you're going to see the slide, so let's not take a lot of time reading that. Let's go to the next page so I can show you how we work. We're sort of like a modern day ethical Robin Hood. We borrow money from very wealthy individuals, even some not so wealthy individuals. We borrow money from foundations. We have a huge amount of money from faith-based institutions in our fund. So churches, corporations, foundations, and even banks. What do we do with that? Well, we pool that capital and we add value to it. We help underwrite loans that banks won't make. So we're not a credit score lender. We're not driven by that. We're a character lender. We also provide professional technical support, and we use a lot of other individuals to help us with that. Our borrowers are families, small businesses, nonprofits, entrepreneurs, affordable housing developers. They all have one thing in common. In general, they're not able to access traditional financing. In general, they're doing something that will benefit the community, or they're buying a home and they aren't able to get financing anywhere else. And then what happens, they pay us back and we pay our investors back. I will say we've lent over $51 million in our history. Some loans have been as small as $1,000. And we're very proud of the fact that we've never lost any of our investors' capital. So we've proven that making, quote, risky loans makes a lot of good business sense. If we could go to the next slide, these are the kinds of loans we make. Home ownership loans, mortgages. We're one of the originators on the Detroit 0% home improvement loan program. We're just starting to make loans for community land trust mortgages. The bridge swap program, some people have been able to use our funds for that. We also then offer funds for small businesses. So we offer small business administration, community advantage loans. And recently we've been offering payroll protection program loans for very small, primarily minority and women-led businesses in Michigan. That's a very short window. If you're interested in that, please go to our website immediately, because we have to stop taking applications on Friday unless the legislature extends the program. We also have loans for community facilities, including multifamily units, single-family developments, and mixed use. So we can go to the next slide. I promise to be relatively quick. I'm just going to end with a teaser here. We all know what happened last summer, and the murder of George Floyd was horrific, and it caused our board and our staff to say, we need to do more than just lend to people who don't qualify for bank support. So we're going to try to completely eliminate the racial wealth gap. Coming soon, our Justice Fund initiative. It's going to be big and it's going to make a huge difference. Our website is on the next slide. So if you have any questions, it's opfund.org. You can email us from there. You can find applications from there. And we're super excited to work with people who just get turned down by the banks and get tired of that. So we're more than happy to step in and help. And I want to thank especially Van and Edwin and Bernie. Without MSHDA, our organization wouldn't exist. MSHDA actually funded the studies that created our organization over 35 years ago. So thank you. And I hope we'll be able to work with some of you soon. Thanks.
Christine, thank you so much for all the information that you provided. And I know it was a short amount of time. But we appreciate, everything Opportunity Resource Fund is doing. We're really excited about the Justice Initiative and look forward to great things. I do have to ask you one question before we let you get out of here. Tell us a little bit if you guys are helping with the PPP.
We are helping with the PPP. In fact, we are an originator for payroll protection program loans. If you believe your small business qualifies, I will ask you to first go to detroitmeansbusiness.org. There's a whole group of special technical support providers to help with those applications. And then you can come to our website, or Detroit Means Business can send you to us to get those applications processed. We're closing loans every Friday. We've done almost just over $3 million in payroll protection program loans. The largest was to a factory to save 30 jobs in the city of Detroit. The smallest was $1,200 for a barber shop so they could keep the door open. We are more than willing to work with anyone who qualifies, and we have a real particular desire to work with the underserved, underbanked businesses. And I saw a question pop through the chat. No, you do not have to live in the city of Detroit to take advantage of our programs. Please reach out to us. We're happy to help.
Again, thank you so much for your presentation tonight and everything that the Opportunity Resource Fund is doing. And we look forward to working through the rest of these years.
Thank you.
Partnership. So thank you again. Next, as you know, Christine mentioned, nonprofits are important, and sometimes they go unnoticed as it relates to housing and housing crisis and helping our citizens. And so tonight we have a special guest with us tonight for the first time as we build our partnership. Enterprise Community Partners is a national nonprofit who seeks to attack the affordable housing crisis from many angles. And so tonight we have two talented young ladies who will be speaking to you in regards to Enterprise Community Partners. Ms. Stacy Esbrook will speak to you first, followed by Ms. Brianna Mason, who will speak to you about Enterprise Community Partners. And so with that, I'm going to turn it over to Stacy.
Hi, Fred. Thanks for that introduction. Yes, and thank you for that introduction on Enterprise. So Enterprise Community Partners is a national nonprofit, affordable housing nonprofit. And we're relatively new in terms of our presence here in Michigan. We opened our Detroit office just about under 3 years ago. This week, I'm celebrating my 1-year anniversary with Enterprise, and I am the Affordable Housing Preservation Director. I'm going to start today by just giving an overview of Enterprise. And I'm really excited that you guys invited us here today so that Brianna can talk about the faith-based housing development initiative that she is heading up. And I think it's appropriate to tell a little story about our beginning. Enterprise was actually born out of a faith-based housing initiative. In the early 1970s, 3 women from the Church of Savior, 3 members, decided that they were going to purchase or put a non-refundable down payment on 2 dilapidated buildings that were in the neighborhood because they really knew that the buildings needed to be saved, and it was the perfect place to provide affordable housing for residents in the neighborhood. And our founder, Jim Rose, he was a long-time developer and urban visionary. He was the CEO of the Rose Company, very successful development company. He was so inspired by these churchgoers that he actually helped them finance the project, the full acquisition and rehabilitation. And through those efforts, actually created the Jubilee Housing Local Community Development Organization. And that really was the inspiration behind Enterprise, which Jim and Patty, his wife, Rose, created about 9 years later. So it's really, I thought it was appropriate to share that. It's a nice story in general, but very appropriate for tonight. As Fred said, we are a national affordable housing nonprofit, and we attack affordable housing from all angles. We have over 40 years of experience. We work with thousands of local partners across the country, and we have the expertise of over 1,100 employees nationwide. We believe that in a country where home and community are stepping stones to more, and to make home and community places of pride, power, belonging, and platforms for resilience. We do this by developing programs and support community organizations on the ground. We advocate for policy from a nonpartisan perspective at every level of government. Most of our embedded markets have a policy specialist at the local that focuses on local and state policy. And we have an office in Washington, D.C. that is very active and supporting affordable housing programs and policies at the federal level. We also are a financing arm. We invest in capital and to build and preserve affordable housing. We're actually one of 3 organizations in the country that receives HUD Section $4. And I know we don't have time tonight to get into that, but that is another program that Brianna manages, and it's amazing capacity building for local CDCs. And fun fact, one of our tools, actually the Opportunity 360 tool was adopted by MSHDA as part of the QAP, replaced the walk score to help identify the impact that affordable housing would have around the local neighborhood. So I'm not going to read everything on the screen here, but this is just some of our accomplishments. As you can see, we've created hundreds of thousands of homes, invested billions, and we're continuing to do more. You can advance to the next slide. Thank you. So what we do is really focused around 3 central goals. And from there, we divide it into 3 divisions. So our central goals are increasing the housing supply, advancing racial equity, and building resilience and upward mobility. And we do this through our various divisions, which are solutions, capital, and communities. So for example, we also have a CDFI, and so we leverage the CDFI funding from the federal government. We work with investors to raise money for investment funds to come in as an equity investor for a low-income housing tax credit. And then we also provide debt. And then through our partnership / co-ownership, Enterprise or Bellwether Enterprise is a funding source for traditional like FHA housing, Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, those sort of tools. And then we have our communities. So that is really the work that Brianna and I are doing in Detroit. Our footprint is slightly out of Detroit. We can do financing statewide, but the majority of our programs are in Detroit. And this is where we're really just testing these new capital projects and testing these new technical assistance programs. So I really wanted to just give an introduction to Enterprise. We've been in this business for a really long time, but we're relatively new to Michigan. And so I wanted to make sure that we were sharing today all of the ways in which we are touching the challenges around affordable housing. Brianna is heading up our faith-based development housing initiative. And so if you want to advance to the next slide, I will turn it over to Brianna.
Thanks, Stacy. So hi, everyone. I'm Brianna Mason. I'm the program officer for Enterprise Community Partners in the Detroit market. I'm actually a little bit newer than Stacy, so I'm so excited that she's finally celebrating her 1 year. But a couple of things that I focus on is, as she mentioned, the Section $4 from HUD. We also have the CDO fund, which really focuses on our community development corporations and organizations in Detroit. And then I am working on the faith-based development initiative in Detroit. Giving you guys a little background, we in our Mid-Atlantic office started the faith-based development initiative in 2006. It was really focusing on houses of worship and figuring out how to help them do affordable housing projects. We have, over the time period, figured out that there's a little access to resources for those who want to do affordable housing projects in their neighborhood. People were having challenges with their local government and other things. And then also they realized that, at the end of the day, when people were not there financing and helping these communities grow, the churches were there with the property, with the help and the need for community residents. So it was very important that this initiative kicked off. And since then, it's provided technical assistance, capital, as well as training to faith-based development organizations in the Mid-Atlantic region. Now that Detroit, which Detroit is one of our newer markets, we have 10 markets across the nation, we wanted to make sure that we look at all the resources that are available to faith-based development organizations here in Michigan. So we are having a workshop series that's going to happen on March 30th and 31st, where we're going to talk to City of Detroit officials about how to go through the process of presenting the projects through them. And then on the 31st, we're going to talk to lenders and CDFI about how to best approach people for capital and lending when doing faith-based projects. It's very important, and we also know that everybody is going to be at different phases of the development journey. So it's important to realize where your expertise lies, if you're a beginner, if you're intermediate, or if you're a pro. And we have an assessment that allows you to figure that out prior to our event. So I'm going to drop the link for the faith-based development program that's happening on the 30th and the 31st in the chat. And then if you guys have any questions, feel free to reach out to me or Stacy, preferably me, about the event. If you go to the next slide, and just giving you guys a little background, like we really just started this and kicked it off this month. We had a lunch and learn about the assessment, where we also mentioned this event that's happening tonight. Again, the assessment will come in an email with the registration after you register for the event. So feel free to fill out the 45 questions that are on it, figure out where your church or house of worship is in its journey, and then be prepared to come on the 30th and the 31st to learn more. That's pretty much it. You guys can use the QR code that was on the last slide. And then also too, I'll drop that link in the chat. So thank you.
Well, thank you very much, Ms. Brianna. You have given a wonderful presentation, you as well as Stacy. If you'd like to reach Enterprise Community Partners, Brianna Mason's information is on the left-hand side at 313-217-7594. Her email address is bmason@enterprisecommunity.org. And if you'd like to reach Stacy Esbrook, her information is 313-217-7616, and she can be reached at BROOK at enterprisecommunity.org. So that's SESbrook@enterprisecommunity.org. Again, ladies, thank you so much for your presentation tonight. We look forward to continuing our partnership with some of the great initiatives and programs that you have. So again, if there's any questions for Brianna or Stacy, you can, feel free to put those questions within the chat. I think they'll hang around just for a little bit to answer some questions if you may have them. What you see on the screen right now is a contact list as well for all of our presenters tonight. And one of the things that I would like to do again, MSHDA is only as strong as some of the partnerships that we create. I'd like to thank all of our presenters tonight from, Enterprise Community Partners, the Opportunity Fund, as well as National Faith Home Buyers. Thank you so much for being on our call tonight, getting this information out to our citizens. If you tuned in tonight, or if you're joining us via telephone, we'd like you to know that this program will also be available. It's being recorded right now. And after this event, in the next upcoming days, we will be sending this out via email to everybody who has registered or joined us tonight on our event. So you will be able to have this recording and some of this valuable information that has been presented to you tonight. Or you can go onto our MSHDA website, MSHDA.gov, as well, and be able to find a recording for tonight's event. And with that, I will turn this back over to my co-host for tonight's event, co-moderator, Mr. Van Adams.
Hey, Fred, thank you very much. And this has been a whirlwind of information and opportunity that I hope many of you that have been viewing or listening are able to take advantage of. Since this is faith-based, there's a scripture that says, "My people are destroyed for lack of knowledge." And so it's been our goal and intent tonight to provide you with some knowledge to increase your livability and your quality of life. So we want to thank all of you that have joined us tonight. We had a record crowd of people on Zoom and on social media. Thank you very much. On behalf of Gary Heidel, the outreach team of Bernie Johnson, Edwin Harlan, Mr. Fred Durhall, Ms. Rosemary Myatt, and myself, as well as our Mr. colleagues of Tanya Young, Mary Townley, and Kelly Rose. Again, we want to thank you and thank all of our partners and faith leaders for joining us on tonight. Remember, after the conclusion of this segment, we are going to segue into our bonus portion where we'll get a chance to answer some of your questions. We'll take a 2-minute break and then we'll come right back. And those of you that can stick around, that have questions that have not been answered, we'll try our very best to get to some of those questions. So thank you again for joining us. We'll take a 2-minute break, just 2 minutes, and then we'll be right back with our Q&A. Thank you. All right, everybody. Van Adams here. We are now going into our special after event Q&A segment. The wonderful thing is that many of our partners have decided to stay on with us to maybe help in assisting us to answer some of your questions. That's good news because I know I don't have all of the answers, and they're experts and will be here to help us facilitate that process. So let me just start out by saying, those of you that are still with us, tells me something that you really have some questions or you want to hear what others may have to share. If you would like to put a question in chat, we are monitoring the chat and we're going to try to choose some of the frequently asked questions that came through chat tonight that maybe we did not have an opportunity to get an answer to. And again, we're going to direct you to the resource that can address your particular issue. So I'm going to ask Ms. Rosemary Myatt to come or to unmute herself, and she can ask the first question that has come through our chat, and we'll try to see what we can do to answer that question. There she is. How you doing, Rosemary?
Good. Good evening, everyone. One of the questions that came through, the person had received money from MSHDA, and they wanted to know, would they have to pay that money back in order to refinance their loan at a lower rate?
Let's see, Mary Townley is still with us.
Yep, I'm here. If that individual has a MSHDA loan and a down payment, and they are wanting to sell the house, they would have to pay off that down payment when they pay off the first mortgage. If they want to refinance, they would also have to pay off that down payment. So the payoff statement that we'll provide will have the first mortgage balance and the DPA balance in that payoff.
Okay.
Thank you, Mary. Next question.
Okay, as one of our other questions, Van, came through earlier. It says, when will the Southeastern Michigan HCV program reopen? I don't know if we answered that. I don't know.
Yes, we did.
Okay.
Kelly Rose did answer that. Yes.
That's great. That's great.
Mm-hmm. How about another question, Rosemary or Fred?
Searching through some of these chat questions.
Yeah, give me 1 second.
Okay, here's one. It says, I am a nonprofit 501c3 organization who purchased a 63-unit apartment building and needs assistance with rehabilitation on the building. Our mission is to provide help and assistance to the women and children that's homeless or who are homeless or victims of domestic violence. Is there any resources or information, or I guess she's asking, where's the best place that she can turn to get some assistance?
I don't know if Kelly Rose is still with us. Is Kelly still here?
Yes, yes, I'm here, Van. So a property of that size would be too large for Tanya's program with the Neighborhood Assistance Program. And most of our other programs require a long-term affordability commitment in terms of a regulatory agreement. But they can go to MSHDA's website and go to the contact MSHDA, it's right at the top, and look for our rental development division. To speak with someone there to talk through the specifics about their property and to figure out if there's a funding program that we have that might fit for that property.
Thank you, Kelly. All right.
And this said one, I've got one for the panelists that I'm reading.
All right.
Regarding the AMI, area median income, according to HUD, the AMI for Detroit is $78,500. That's because they pad the numbers with Warren and Livonia's AMI. New developers and investors use this figure to build affordable homes, which are not affordable to legacy Detroiters. Is there a way to revise this AMI?
I think I'll take that one, Van or Edwin. There isn't a way to change the way HUD calculates their AMI, but there are ways to target deeper levels than just the area median income or 80% of the area median income. MSHDA works to try to create affordable housing at many different price points. So at many points we have apartments that are at 30% of area median income, where the rent may only be $300 or $400 or $500 a month. So we work to try to produce affordable housing at many different price points so that various people are being able to be served in these developments.
Thank you, Kelly.
Do you mind if I add to that? My work is specifically to do affordable housing preservation for Detroit. And so I just wanted to echo what Kelly was saying, but then also add that what we're also trying to do with our preservation efforts is to keep the existing affordability as is, as opposed to letting them scale up somewhere else in that affordability range. So we're certainly well aware of the challenge, around the area-wide income, but it's well known that it's a high income, and we need much more targeted, lower affordability in the city.
Excellent. Go ahead.
Another question came, is there an affordability criteria in order to receive help from CERA?
So with the SARA program, people can be up to 80% of the area median income to qualify for the program. And so for Wayne County, as an example, a family of four making about $65,000 a year is going to be what that limit looks like for a family of four. So anyone whose income is below that level would be eligible for the program.
Thank you, Kelly.
We're pushing up against 7, so we'll take one more question, and then all these beautiful people that's done all this excellent work can exit stage right.
Well, is this including our 30 minutes?
Well, this is, we've been on since 5. I just want to be cognitive of people's time.
Sure. Those that have to leave, we understand. If you can stick around for another 20 minutes or so, then we'll entertain as many questions as we can get to. Thank you, Mr. Harlan. Next question.
Oh, I mean, this
is an interesting question. So I think Kelly, you might be able to answer this question. I don't know if it's been answered or asked earlier. It says, does the program for frontline workers apply only to those individuals without a degree? Or are there resources for those with a degree that just needed to reinvent themselves due to COVID-19?
That one I'm not sure about. I don't have the answer for that to know if you already have a degree, if you're eligible to go and get a different type of degree, or if it's only for folks without a degree. Yeah, I'm not sure about that, sorry.
And so we'll take that question. We'll try to find out as much information as we possibly can and try to reach back out to you. If you'd like to email either Van or myself or Kelly, because you've had, all of our information, please do so. And we'll try to find out best how to answer that question. That was a pretty good one.
A lot of them in here. Another one is say we are a 501c3 and are looking into buying an old motel and converting it into a MSHDA compliant and make it eligible vouchers. Who would we talk to about making sure it meets MSHDA standards and possible funding help?
Well, if someone's looking for funding help in terms of purchasing and rehabilitating and fixing it up, they would want to talk to our rental development division. So you'll go to MSHDA's website, go to the contact MSHDA part, and find the rental development division for their phone number. And so you'll want to describe your project, and they can have an initial facilitation with you. But if you want to just rent to people that have housing choice vouchers, that's also a totally separate process. So as long as the unit passes what's called HUD's housing quality standards, or sometimes it's abbreviated into HQS, then technically it probably would be available to be rented to a person with a voucher. And I can put in the chat or in the Q&A a phone number for you to go to. Actually, better yet for that, we already talked about the housing locator. So if you want to list your property on the housing locator, that's a resource that we use for all of our voucher participants to help them find affordable, help them find housing to use their voucher in. So we'd encourage you to go in and list the development, or if you've purchased it on the housing locator, so that you can get connected with voucher holders.
Thank you, Kelly. You're spot on. Let's see what else we have. Fred or Rosemary, next question.
I've got one. I know we're kind of going randomly. It says, we've owned our MSHDA home since 2008. We have a shutoff for consumers and DTE. I'm assuming this is talking about electric and gas. It says our internet was shut off today and our daughter is doing virtual school at home. And so I think you are just, asking for some resources. If anybody online right now can direct them to, a good place to get some resources for that.
I would say for immediate resources, you're going to want to go to DHHS for the State Emergency Relief Program, or what's called LIHEAP, which is basically an energy assistance program. But Mary popped her camera on, I think, to tell you about a homeowner assistance program that'll be getting started in a couple months.
Yeah, actually, it's not for immediate use, but we are launching a program in the next few months for homeowners to help them with delinquent mortgage payments, delinquent property taxes, and also delinquent utilities. So it wouldn't be available right now, but it will be available in the next few months.
Yeah, but definitely reach out to DHHS because they have programs, available and funding available right now with the LIHEAP program and other programs that can help get your utility situation straightened out. And they also do have funding that can be used for internet.
Yep.
Next question.
I don't know if we answered this question, but are there financing options available for persons converting from a land contract to a mortgage, and are mobile homes eligible?
So land contract holders would have to go to a financial institution to obtain a permanent mortgage. If they're interested in going through MSHDA, they can reach one of our participating lenders, and they're listed out on the MSHDA website, michigan.gov/MSHDA, and then go into home buyers. We have a list by county and by city, and they can access a list there. What was the second part? Land contract in?
The second part, let me pull it back up.
Sorry.
Oh, no, it's fine. We appreciate you, Mary, and Kelly, and everybody that's staying on. I know we're past 7 o'clock, but you guys are doing just amazing work, and I'm pretty sure our citizens really, really appreciate you guys right now. I'm trying to find the second part, which is in our chat question, because we've got a few of them. I think that it asked though. Oh, there it is. It asked, about financing options from land contract to a mortgage. And then they also asked, are mobile homes eligible for that?
So we do offer mobile home mortgage transactions. The only key is the mobile home must be on permanently affixed to the foundation, which means it must be on land. It's not eligible. Our program is not eligible for a mobile home in a park. That's considered a chattel, and it has usually a installment loan attached to it.
I have one, Van. This is from one of the pastors that was on, not the panelists, but I have a church member that lost home to taxes in February 2020, prior to the governor's executive order to shut down state in March 2020. They went to a hotel. They are now back in a home renting. Is there rental assistance dollars available for them today to support the rental home and fund the landlord requirement of monthly funding?
Well, if they've fallen behind on their rent at all, or their utilities, either one, they could apply for the COVID emergency rental assistance program to get help with that. If they're just, there really aren't other programs, that assist if you're current on that. So they should check out the SARA website to learn more about that program.
And another one, a couple of questions came in from returning citizens from prison. If they had a felony, are they not eligible for any of these programs? Or, folks like that are coming back, being reinstituted in society?
So I'll address first MSHDA's Housing Choice Voucher Program. So if you're looking to get a voucher, we would do a 2-year look back period for violent crime. So if you were convicted of a violent crime in the 2 years prior to being looked at, pulled from the waiting list, then you potentially might be denied assistance, but there is an appeal process for that to describe more about the situation so that we can learn more and consider the circumstances. But if it's something that happened many, many years ago, that would not be relevant and that would not be looked at all. So if it was something from many years ago, anything greater than 2 years ago, it would not affect it at all. The only caveat to that is that HUD specifically prohibits us from assisting people with a lifetime sex offender registration requirement. So we're not able to assist people that have that situation.
Thank you.
And I think we have another question, man. I think this is one that sometimes we hear about all the time. But there was a question that says, are there any motel or hotel vouchers? And I'm sure Kelly will answer this. She probably gets this sometimes as well. Are there any motel or hotel vouchers that are available until the wait list or programs open?
Well, there are emergency shelters that are available. You can contact the local housing assessment and resource agency to get connected to emergency housing resources. In some cases, a short-term motel voucher might be available, but that would be pretty short-term. We're not able to put people up in hotels for months at a time while they're waiting for a voucher, unfortunately. But please contact the local housing assessment and resource agency that covers your county, and they can help you through your housing crisis and get you connected to housing resources.
This question is for Dina Harris. Does your certificate for the home buying class expire?
I don't know, is she still on?
Yeah, she's here.
And it does. It expires 12 months after you receive it.
Okay, thank you. I'll put that in there.
Okay, we have another question. It says, a young woman bought a vacant home in a Michigan urban area. It needs rehabbing to be livable. She has the list of what work is needed after consulting with the city code person. Is there funding help to do the rehab? All she finds has the requirement that she lives in a home, which she plans to do when the house is eventually rehabbed.
So MSHDA has a property improvement loan, but it sounds like based on that question that our property improvement loan would not provide her enough funding. My recommendation would be for her to contact a financial institution in her area and see if they have any type of rehab loans available. Our property improvement loan only provides up to $25,000.
And another question that asks for the contact info for mobile home purchases.
Most lenders, and including MSHDA, do provide mobile home financing. So again, I would recommend they go out to the MSHDA website and find a financial institution in their area and go to them and apply. But we do offer mobile home financing.
Thank you. I got another one that has come through a couple times. It says, can you send a AMI list out for home buyers and renters?
There are AMI charts on MSHDA's website. I can find the link and put it in the chat for you to reference. It shows, because it's one for every single county. It's 83 pages long and it's very detailed, so it's kind of hard to send out. But I'll drop the link into the chat.
Here's one, I don't know if someone said this before. What is the area AMI for Highland Park? I am currently paying $843 per month, and I'm struggling in my affordable housing unit. Anyone answer that?
I don't know what the AMI is off the top of my head for that, but it would be part of the Wayne County because it's looked at county by county. But I guess I would look at, if you're in a MSHDA finance property, I can also drop in the number for basically our tenant hotline. If you feel like that, potentially you're being mischarged with your rent or other sorts of things like that. But if you've just fallen behind on your rent and it's, you're having trouble keeping up with your rental payments, please use the COVID emergency rental assistance program. And you'll want to talk with your landlord about that because they can be part of the application process as well. So if you've fallen behind on your rent and it's really difficult to keep up with that program can help you.
Thank you. Okay.
I have a question here from the chat. I'm not sure if this has been answered, but it says, my church had a nonprofit housing development program years ago in 2008. We built 29 infield homes and 34 unit subdivision in Westland, Michigan. I would like to restart it, our housing nonprofit. Do you suggest I start from scratch or reestablish the old one? I'm not sure who to address that to.
So are they looking for financing?
They said they are looking to restart their nonprofit. They used to have one. I think it's lapsed. And so they want to restart it, but are not sure if they should just start all over again or reestablish the one that they had back in 2008.
Hey, Van, I would think that would be a question for Clarence. Who's not.
Is Clarence on?
No, but I'm saying.
Oh, okay.
It sounds like that there's some legalese that needs to be addressed vis-a-vis the old versus new.
Well, and they may have to completely fill out all new paperwork to establish the 501c3. So they may be able to get information off the state of Michigan website on how to do that.
All right. Thank you very much.
And I know we only have about 5 minutes left. I saw one question that kind of slipped through just really quick. And I think this is probably going to go to Mary. It says, is MSHDA promoting the Keys to Home Ownership program?
Actually, that's in Kelly's group.
Kelly, I'm sorry.
That's our shared stuff.
Right, yeah. The Key to Home Ownership program is an awesome program. So it's within the Housing Choice Voucher program where it takes folks who have a voucher that have been renting but want to be homeowners. So they're able to use their voucher to purchase a home, and the voucher actually pays their mortgage. Instead of paying for the rent, it pays for their mortgage. And in many cases, after a couple years, people are actually able to leave the voucher program because they've done so well. They don't need it anymore, and they're able to kind of free that up for another citizen that really needs the help. So it is an outstanding program. Many people go on to having wealth appreciation and other things with the benefits of homeownership through that program.
And I can tell you that, particularly through outreach, we've done housing resource fairs. This is one of our second virtual housing resource fair that we've had. We always highlight the Keys to Home Ownership program, particularly as we go out and talk to community groups, because it is such a great program to help folks get into home ownership. So thanks for answering that question, Kelly. I'm sorry, Mary. And
No,
Kelly.
that's all right.
but again, that's just such.
Okay, this is one that came in, last one. Am I eligible for a grant for a loan for home improvement repairs if I gross over 65K?
So, I would recommend that they contact one of our housing educating or counseling offices to see if they have any grant funds available. The program within homeownership is a loan program. So it has monthly payments that are collected. But if they're looking for a grant, there may be some funds available through their local community.
Okay, I think we might have time for one more. If I can find one. If you have Section 8, why is there a requirement to make 3 times the rent?
There is not a requirement with Section 8 to make 3 times the rent. So yeah, I'm not sure where that comes from, but when people have a housing choice voucher or Section 8, they pay 30% of their income as their tenant contribution, and then the housing choice voucher pays the rest of the rent to the landlord each month. So that's how that program works.
Hey, Fred, Rosemary, we got 2 minutes left. Let's get a good question in.
Okay, let me see. Yes, I don't understand that one.
I don't know if this one's been answered, but it says, what if someone is looking for a home and now is let go because of COVID? Can they take the home buying class?
Can you repeat that, Fred? It might be a question for Dina.
Yeah, it says, what if someone is looking for a home, but they are let go, and I'm assuming they're talking about their employment because of COVID, can they take the home buying class?
I don't think she's still on, but yes, anybody can take the home buying class at any time. So yes, they could definitely take the home buying class anytime.
All right. All right. Well, we'll leave it at that. We have about 16 new messages that have come in. My goodness. But unfortunately, we're going to have to stop there. This was a part of our bonus round, but we want to thank all of our Mr. leaders that have stayed on to answer some of your questions. Again, this recording will be provided on our website in a couple days, and I have given my email. You have email addresses that you can reach out to folks if you have additional questions. But again, thank you for joining us. Stay tuned for our next Housing Resource Fair. We'll be back with additional information to meet your housing needs. Thank you for joining us, and have a good night.